It's not an,
Yeah, it's not an unusual name for in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
all right. Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone at this moment, being the three members of the board, Mr. Wade, who's the board administrator, our trusty court reporter, Ms. Robb, and Ms. Athanasiadis
Yes,
from the law department.
yes. Good afternoon.
We are here today. I am acting chair. I'm apparently blocked out on video, which I will undo. There you go. I am acting chair for the hearings this afternoon. My name is Ralph Pincus. Well, we don't have any of the people here for hearings, so I guess we're on record, so I guess we should introduce ourselves. There was a gentleman. Is there someone in the waiting room?
Yes, they're both here. I could bring them both in now.
Yeah, these are public hearings, right?
Yep.
Ms. Athanasiadis, are you the sole representative for the law department today?
I am Mr. Pincus.
Okay, and please forgive me as I work
Not
on.
a problem.
All right, we have several people who have joined us. Our meeting is now in session. This is the Philadelphia Board of License and Inspection Review. We're meeting today on October the 6th. It's about 1:25 in the afternoon to conduct hearings on appeals that were filed regarding violations issued by the Philadelphia Water Department. I am the acting chair of the Board of License and Inspection Review. My name is Ralph Pincus, and there are two other members of the board here present. We have a quorum. I'll have them introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Beverly Penn.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ken Washington, board member.
And also present is, well, I'll let Mr. Wade introduce.
Richard
us.
Wade, board administrator.
And we have a court reporter. Today's hearings are being transcribed by a court reporter, Ms. Robb, whose picture you'll see. And the hearings are obviously being held on Zoom and not in person. And there is a city solicitor here representing the city, and I'll have her say her name and introduce herself as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. Alexandra Athanasiadis here on behalf of the city.
And we have on today's list 5 matters. I guess Ms. Athanasiadis, are you able to tell us, or is it Mr. Wade, are any of these matters disposed of before we move forward?
I can advise the board chairman Pincus. Case number 1, appeal number HA 2021-004418, appellant Marcus Waddy, property address 6417 Dix Avenue. That matter is moot complied.
Is Mr. Waddy? I do not see that name on the screen, so I assume he's aware and is not in attendance, or no one here with respect to that property. Thank you.
Sure. Case number 2 on the list, HA 2022-002424, appellant Kristen Lewis, property address 6240 North 18th Street. That matter is also moot complied.
Is there anyone here with respect to the property case number HA 2022-002424, 6240 North 18th Street? Okay. So noted, it's moot complied, as well as the first case.
Correct. Case number 3, HA 2022-002525, appellant Miguel Cruz, property address 756 East Ontario Street. That matter is also moot complied.
All right, is there anyone here in attendance with respect to HA 2022-002525, Miguel Cruz, 754 East Ontario Street? So noted, the case is marked moot complied.
Mr. Chairman, just a quick correction. I believe council read the address as 756, and it's actually 754. At least it's 754 on our list, so I don't know which is the
Oh.
correct address.
I have it marked on my list. I apologize.
Well, there's, excuse me, there's 2 addresses that I see. Under where Mr. Cruz did his appeal, it says 756 East Ontario. On the top, the premise is saying is 754 East Ontario Street, as board member Penn stated.
Yeah. So maybe Mr. Cruz lives at 756, but the defect is at 754. He might own both properties. I just thought that there was an error there, and I did not see the 756 under his name. So it looks like both addresses are accurate for him. They're both noted on his appeal, and 754 is clearly the notice on the defect. I'm sorry, the address on the notice of defect. So
we'll stay with the one that's on the list,
Yes.
754.
okay.
All right,
Just for the record, the list I received has 756 as the property address.
Yeah. So
oh. But all right, so our list says 754. What is the violation? I'm trying to look at it.
I'm gonna pull that up, Chairman Pincus. Give me 1 second. I apologize.
This is Mr. Cruz.
correct.
Violation notice is issued to 754 East Ontario Street.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I have in the file that we have on record.
Correct.
All right, so we'll keep it at 754.
Okay.
It is, the appeal has the address,
Are you in a meeting?
excuse me.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. So number 3 is marked moot comply.
Yes. Case number 4, HA 2022-003036, appellant Anthony Lloyd, property address 2612 West Mimi Circle. That is also moot complied.
Ooh. I think Mr. Lloyd is here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, well, let's just, again, HA 2022 003036. The address is 2612 West Mimi Circle. The appellant is Anthony Lloyd. The city is reporting the violations as moot complied, but I believe a Mr. Anthony Lloyd, who's listed as the appellant, is present. So let us just say,
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
yes,
I see Tony,
well,
but I don't see any pictures or anything there.
is Tony, are you also?
Yes, he's been identified as Mr. Lloyd.
Okay.
All right, I don't see his picture.
You need to see me?
Well, it would, yes, if you're going to testify, we need to see you. However, the city is reporting the violations as moot complied.
What
which
does that mean?
It means that whatever violations they found at your property have been corrected, and there's no longer a violation outstanding.
Okay. Okay, that was my whole question was there a violation against my property? Because the violation that I received at the time was apparently not done correctly, I guess, was issued against me, but my property wasn't the actual problem.
Well, whatever it is, the city has determined that the property that's the subject of your appeal, which is 2612 West Mimi Circle, is no longer in violation. There was
Okay.
something that needed to be corrected, it's been corrected.
Right, so that's that's my whole question is, I had a violation that should have never been a violation because
It's Ms. Anthoniadis.
Yes, sir, the only thing I can tell you is whatever the violation was issued for upon reinspection, upon further investigation, they found that the violation is no longer in existence, that whatever the condition was, it's been remedied. So I can't give you further information as to why it was issued, I can just tell you from our end, it's been taken care of.
okay, so there's no violation against my property.
Correct. Currently, there's no violation.
There
Right.
was a violation, but it's been re-inspected and determined that whatever it was has been satisfied.
Yes.
Yeah, that's confusing to me.
Well, I'm
because-
just trying to, there was a violation notice that was issued. You
Right.
filed an appeal. The city's water department people went out, re-inspected the property and determined that perhaps it was improperly issued or that whatever was the problem has been remedied or resolved, and there is no longer an outstanding violation against the property. It's been
Oh.
marked comply.
Okay, very
All
good.
right?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So that will be reported for that property, HA 2022-003036, Anthony Lloyd, 2612 West Mimi Circle, as moot comply.
Okay, oh, moot, that's what you were saying. Okay, gotcha.
Moot comply. All right, thank you. Have a good afternoon, sir. You're welcome to leave or you're welcome to stay. We have, as far as I can tell, one more case on the list.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And case number 5, HA 2022-003037, appellant Philip Pruitt or Pruitti, property address 2611 South Camac Street. The city is prepared to move forward with that case, and the city's witness would be Calvin Alexander.
And I see the name on the screen, no picture of Philip Pruitt, Pruii. Are you the appellant in this matter, sir?
Excuse me, he had two pictures up. He had one picture, and then I'm assuming that he had another screen.
I see. So are you on two machines, Mr. Pruitt? Are you on an iPhone and a computer at the same time? I hear an echoes.
No, I'm just on my phone.
Mr. Wade, are you able to?
Yes, I mean, the Mr. Pruitt that is be by himself now.
We okay? There are two
Yes.
other people who are showing on the screen there. Are they?
They may have been here for, I was going to handle them after this hearing. They may have been here for a tobacco case that they did not receive their continuance letter for. Mr. XIU YUZ Heng, he was notified that his case will be continued. He's still in the forum. If he wanted to stay, he can stay or leave. And I have yet to identify the random phone number.
Well, all right, should we, all right, so let's proceed with this hearing and then afterwards, if they're still here. we'll-
I'll let them know
find
that
out
they're
while they're
continuing.
here. All right, so Mr. Pruitt, am I saying your name correctly?
Pruitt, yeah.
How do you spell it?
Pruiti.
ITI, okay. So I think we have it spelled incorrectly. Pruiti. May I swear you in? Will you raise your right hand, please? You swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give today will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yep.
Okay, you may have, if you didn't hear before, these proceedings are being transcribed. There's a court reporter, and they're also being recorded by Zoom. We will ask the city to present its case regarding the violation.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
on his application, it doesn't have a T. I just wanted to make sure that we are well aware of that. How we have it spelled on the Zoom is how the application has it spelled.
you know, I think
There
the
is a
applicant,
T in his signature. I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon, Mr. Chairman. There is a T in his signature, though. If you look at the very bottom of the appeal paperwork,
yeah,
his
yes.
signature does have a T in it. So I don't know why the typed name is different, but
But he's also confirmed what his name is when asked, so
Right.
we will
Correct,
proceed.
correct.
And, all right, so Mr. Pruitti, we'll hear from the city first. This is one of those name games today. Ms. Athanasiadis, please.
Sure. This case was before the board as Philip Pruitti is appealing the notice of defect that was served on August 3rd, 2021 for the property located at 2611 South Camac Street. The deed lists appellant Philip Pruitti, John J. Pruitti, and Elvira M. Pruitti as property owners. Back in August 2021, PWD went to the 2600 block of Camac Street as a result of a 311 request. On August 3rd, 2021, dye was placed in a cave-in and dye was shown in the sewer lateral that was defective. A notice of defect, plumbing defect, was issued on that day. And as of the date of the most recent reinspection, which was October 3rd, 2022, repairs have not been made. The city will be calling Calvin Alexander as its witness. Mr. Alexander?
Before you proceed, Mr. Pruitti, are you and one of the owners of the property at 2611 South Camac?
Yeah, I'm one of the owners. Yep.
Are other people owners with you, or are you the sole owner?
Well, it's my parents. So I guess they have the deed split up between three of us.
So you are an owner listed on the deed of the property.
Right.
Very good, thank you. Okay, Mr. Alexander, let us proceed. Are you, let me ask you to raise your right hand, please. You are Calvin Alexander. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give today will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Mr. Alexander, can you state your name for the record?
Calvin Alexander,
And by whom are you employed?
Philadelphia Water Department.
And
Sewer
how
maintenance.
long? I apologize. Philadelphia Water Department sewer maintenance?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been at the Philadelphia Water Department?
13 years.
And what is your current job title?
I'm a crew chief.
And what are your daily responsibilities as a crew chief?
I do inspections for the Philadelphia Water Department. I go to homes, whatever the case may be, whether it's a depression, they have water in their basement. We do handle cave-ins and things like that.
And how long have you been a crew chief?
I've been a crew chief for 5 years.
And prior to becoming a crew chief, what was your position with PWD?
I was a sewer maintenance inspector.
Okay, and how long were you a sewer maintenance inspector for the remainder of the time? The other 8
Yes.
years? Okay. And what were your responsibilities as a sewer maintenance inspector?
Well, we get called to a location and we perform tests and inspections. We either go inside the home or we do it from outside. If it's a cave-in, which is in this case here, we would dye test the cave-in. And once it shows in the sewer, we would then suit up and someone physically goes into the sewer and track down the dye. And once we find where the dye is coming in from, we will have someone dye test above ground. Once they put the die inside one of the one of the FAIs in front of whichever property. We'll do one above and one below the actual address that's in question. We'll die test the one in question first. If the die mixes with the die that's already in the cave-in, then that's the actual problem. That means your lateral has a breach in it. It's either separated or shifted. Like I said, we'll do one above and one below, just to be sure that that's the right address.
And did you perform, not in this particular instance for this address, have you performed the die test that you've just described for the board?
Yes, many a times.
And have you completed the notice of defect forms that are subsequently issued if a defect is found?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Now I'm going to be showing you some documents, Mr. Alexander, and I'll represent to you and the board that you were neither the crew chief nor the inspector that issued the notice of plumbing defect for this case.
Yes.
Okay, just give me a quick second. Okay. Do you see what I'm showing you, Mr. Alexander?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And
Could you
This
make
is-
it a little larger, please? I'm having some difficulty seeing it clearly.
sure. Can-
Thank you.
Is that better, Chairman?
Uh,
Or bigger?
Board, can you see and read with this document?
I think bigger would be better,
Thank you.
a little
Make it a-
enlargement if possible.
Is that better?
Yes,
We're
it's
getting,
better.
yes, we're getting close. Yes.
I'll make it a little bigger then. The third time will be the charm, hopefully. Okay. Now,
All right.
okay. Now, Mr. Alexander, this is a City Works document. This document that I'm showing you, is this a type of document that PWD routinely maintains in its course and scope of business?
Yes,
PWD represents means the Philadelphia Water Department, correct?
Yes, thank you,
Okay.
Chairman Pincus. I apologize.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure because we have a layperson who's the appellant and some of these words and initials sometimes may not be familiar to them and sometimes to the board. Please proceed.
Yes. And Mr. Alexander, based on the information that we're looking at here, this would be City Exhibit 1, page 1. Do you see here the top of where my cursor is?
yes,
Okay, and this says initiation date. And am I reading that correctly, that it says July 8th, 2021?
that's correct.
Okay, and down here where it says existing comments, it indicates that caller name / phone number, and it indicates 311. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes,
And to the right, where my cursor is indicating, it's below incident information. It lists the address of 2609 South Camac Street. Did I read that correctly?
yes,
And the subtype here to the left, it indicates cave-in. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay, so based on the information that we see here in City Exhibit 1, page 1, a cave-in was reported, and the purported address of the location where the cave-in was located was 2609 South Camac Street. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that report came in July 2021. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, I'm going to be showing you one quick second. Okay. Now, I'm now showing you, Mr. Alexander, what's been marked as City Exhibit 2. What is this that I'm showing you, sir?
It's a notice, it's a notice of a defect.
And I'm gonna scroll down to page 2. Now, crew chief and inspector, you were not the crew chief or inspector who issued this plumbing defect, correct?
That's correct.
But as you previously testified, you are familiar with the issuance of these defect notices during your years of experience, both as the inspector and the crew chief. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And have you yourself issued these types of defects?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And you reviewed this document as well as other documents for the address we're here for today of 2611 South Camac Street.
Yes,
Okay. Is this notice of defect a record that is made and kept in the ordinary course and scope of Philadelphia Water Department business?
that's correct.
And when is a notice of plumbing defect written or created?
Once we find and determine that the property has a defect, once we send someone in the sewer and we determine that it's that property, and we will then sign the notice of a defect and issue it to that home.
Okay. And this document is made or created by someone who has personal knowledge and who records the events during the course of their employment and doing their job, correct?
That is correct.
And in this case, would that be, I don't know if you see my cursor, G. Schreiber and D. Sanders?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you please tell the board the date this notice was issued?
August 3rd, 2021.
And what is the service address?
2611 South Camac Street.
And the property owner listed?
Probably John Peruti.
Okay. And now I'm going to point you to the middle of the page where there are certain things checked off. Do you see or a line put through combined system?
Yes,
Okay. And there's also a line placed through dye placed in cave-in.
yes,
Okay. And checked off as well is dye shown in sewer through defective lateral. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay. And then to the left of that, lateral is circled as having a drainage related problem. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the comments indicate that the lateral, defective lateral, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And can you just briefly go over again the dye process that was conducted back on August 3rd, 2021 to issue this notice?
Yes. Once we're on location, they found a cave-in in the street. They performed a dye test. They put the dye in the cave-in. Once the dye showed in the sewer, an inspector will go down in the sewer and investigate. Once he find the dye coming through a lateral, or it could be a breach sewer. In this case, it came through the lateral. We then perform a dye test to ID the lateral above ground. One inspector would put dye in a FAI, which is a vent pipe, your fresh air intake. They would put dye in there, a different color from the cave-in. Once the two mix together and it comes through the lateral where the cave-in showed, that will be considered a defect. And in this case, it was a defect belonging to 2611 South Camac Street.
Okay. And can you explain what a cave-in is?
A cave-in occurs when either there's a breach in the sewer or the homeowner lateral is connected to the sewer. If that's has a defect, which means it's shifted, crushed, broken, it would cause a cave-in. The lateral acts like a straw, and is once it has a defect, it would suck air and pull dirt away from the earth on top of the lateral. And that's what caused the cave-in.
And what is the purpose of a lateral? What does a lateral do?
The lateral is connected to the home, the homeowner's property. And any waste or rainwater, things of that nature comes out of that home. It has to make it to the sewer. And the lateral provides a way for it to get to the sewer.
Okay. And what is the danger of an improperly functioning lateral?
The danger would be it could cause a cave-in, which it has. And the other case, the sewage that you're expelling from your home will back up into your home, causing you to have a water in your basement along with sewage, which is a health hazard.
Okay. And in this case, as we see here, the notice was sent to the property owner, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And whose responsibility is it to fix a defective lateral?
That would be on a homeowner.
Okay. So let me just pull up quickly. Okay. Is this, let me make it bigger for the board. Can everyone see what I'm showing on screen?
Not clearly, but it can be seen,
Okay.
not clearly enough to read it.
How about now, Chairman?
I think you need to make it one more size larger if you're going to be quoting from the document. Hopefully that will work.
Now, what I'm showing to you, Mr. Alexander, this is another CityWorks entry. And I will represent to the board, to you and to everyone else. This entry was made, as you can see here where my cursor is, sometime last week.
Yes.
Okay. So board, I'm asking to submit this extra page of the CityWorks record. This wasn't originally submitted in the exhibits provided because this was uploaded after the fact and I didn't have access to it. So I don't know if there's any objection to me just indicating the date of the last reinspection.
Well, I guess, could you make it larger? I assume there's a date
Yes.
marked in there and we could look at it and see what that date is. I was unable to read it.
It would be here.
Oh, okay, I can't see that at all. Well,
No,
maybe-
okay, let me. I will try making it significantly larger then.
Is this being submitted as Exhibit 3? Is that it?
Yes, it would be exhibit 4 based on the other things that I had provided.
Okay,
Is this better, Chairman Pincus?
yes, I can read it. I assume the rest of the board can as well.
I'll direct your attention here to where my cursor is, Mr. Alexander. The most recent data reinspection based on this record, and can you advise if I'm correct in what I'm stating? Reinspection, well, by Montila Sarita M, and the date listed is 10/3/2022. Did I
That's
read that
correct.
correctly?
Yes, sir.
Reinspection, I'm sorry. Reinspection found no repairs made to defective lateral at 2611. No permit in system. Patch in street, no patch on footway. Awaiting results of L&I appeal, hold for reinspection per number 122. And the work address below is listed as 2611 South Camac Street. Did I read that correctly?
Yes,
So as of October 3rd, 2022, there were no repairs made to the defective lateral at the address we're here for today. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay. So as we sit here today, the lateral remains defective.
That is correct.
That is all I have, Chairman. I would just like to mark and move into evidence the exhibits that I've submitted, which would have been City 1, City 2, and this one would be City 4.
That's fine.
And I have no
Accepted.
further questions for Mr. Alexander at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Pruitti, do you have any questions for the inspector based on his testimony? If you want to explain things or provide additional information, that would come after we're done with hearing from any questions you have of the statements made by Inspector Supervisor Alexander. Do you have any questions for him?
Yeah, I guess I have two questions or statements. The reinspection on 10/3, I think that time said 11:55 a.m. Correct?
That's correct.
All right, so I have cameras in front of my house. I don't see anybody from the water department come out at that time at all.
I was the one there.
Okay, well, like I said, no one's on the camera there. Also, when that original, I guess, inspection was done back in 2021, I didn't see anybody go into the sewer itself.
Was that, again, if you have a question regarding the testimony of Mr. Alexander, you can make your statements when it's your turn. Because again, he's testifying from the city water department records. He's testified what their records show. Do you have a question about any of?
Okay,
his testimony?
I guess just my question is exactly what time was that reinspection done?
Well, he answered that already, I believe.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Pruitti, do you want to provide any information regarding this? The city is telling us that there's a defective water lateral at the property of 2611 South Camac Street that hasn't been repaired.
Okay, do you guys have the email that I sent for evidence?
Believe something was provided yesterday. Just a moment. Mr. Wade, I have to close my file. Mr. Wade, did you did you or Mr. Moto forward materials to us yesterday?
I can double check. Was it sent to us yesterday?
When did you submit the materials, Mr. Pruitti?
September 22nd. $12:40 p.m.
And they were sent to board's administration?
Yep.
Okay, just give me one moment to find them.
I do have materials that were sent to me by an email. I'm opening them. I see something referring to a Larry Longo, Nice Guy Cement Company,
That's it.
and then I see a bunch of pictures.
There's also 2 videos attached to it.
I'm not sure if we're able to open those.
Mr. Chairman, what's the date of that email?
Well, the email was sent last evening regarding case 5 from Philip Motto to the board. It was sent at, all
I see.
right, Mr. Washington, do you have it?
Oh, no, that's not.
I can't open up the photos. I think it's
No,
about 10 of them.
I don't know that I can either. Yes, I am. I was able to open at least the first one. Mr. Pruitti, do you want to move forward? I'm not sure we're going to be able to go to all of these photos, but you want to present your explanation of what happened here and why it hasn't been fixed?
I mean, I could read you what I put in the email. So pretty much Larry Longo, the owner of 2609 Camac Street, hired Nice Guy Cement to conduct a basement dig out at 2609 Camac. They did the dig out. Nice Guy Cement subcontracted Triparty Cement to come out with a cement truck and pour cement into the basement. Triparty Cement arrived on 6/28 around 1 p.m. And at some point, the rear passenger tire fell through the street. It was like this for a few hours until another large construction truck came out and pulled it out. Triparty Cement then poured cement into the new hole. And at some point, the police department arrived and made a report. Now, the water department came out on I have 8/4. I know you said 8/3. So roughly a month later, they came out and stated that me and my neighbor across the street at 2608 both have cracked sewer lines that need to be replaced. This is 39 days after the hole was created. During this time, any stormwater runoff from the entire street was pouring into that hole. During that 1 week, we had 2 major storms, and I have the video of that submitted, and I also have cars running over the open hole constantly. So all the cement that the company poured into the hole, all the cars were just passing over it, pushing down. In addition to all the water runoff going in there. So the pictures I have are just various ones of the cement truck actually in the street itself. And then the water pouring into it.
Well, Mr. Okay.
And to go back to my statement earlier, when they did come out for an inspection, I didn't see anybody actually go into the sewer. And as for the reinspection on 10/3, like I said, I just went through my camera. I didn't see anybody from the water department actually come out.
All right. Well, let us, Ms. Anthony Assadius, do you have any questions? Of Mr. We have questions, but I'll let you ask questions first. All right, let us proceed with our questions in the meantime.
she's
Because my
muted.
question is, you've indicated that it sounds like there might be a reason for the defective condition because of the work that was being done at 2609. But the fact is you haven't presented any information to indicate that there isn't a defective lateral for your property at 2611. Have you had someone come out? Have you hired a plumber? Have you had a contractor? Do you have any information whether or not to confirm or deny the report of the city that there's a defective lateral at 2611 South Kamak?
No,
Okay. Would it not have been in your interest, once the violation notice was issued, to have someone come out and try to determine whether you needed to make a repair?
I don't believe so. I thought that was the point of this appeal, which was filed over a year ago. I just
Well-
find it odd that they come out and say two houses across the street from each other both have defective laterals after there was an open hole for over a month in the street.
All right, but again,
So I'm not saying that the lateral is not broken. It's just, I'm saying, how am I at fault for that?
well, it's not a question of being at fault, sir. It's an issue of somehow there's a report. It could happen. We all that are on the board, we live in the city. My house is 100 years old. I've had to replace the lateral to my house in the course of living in my house for the last 4 years. So laterals become defective, the pipes are old, they break. Now, it's quite possible that with the construction work that was happening at the adjacent property, that caused the condition that resulted in the defective lateral at your address and at 2608 South Kamak. And that may be, if they caused it, that may be a separate cause of action you could have against them if you could prove that their work caused your lateral to break. The fact is, the question before us today and the appeal is whether or not you have a defective lateral and whether you have been able to provide us with any indication or information saying it isn't defective, and you haven't done that.
I mean, I don't understand how I'm supposed to even do that.
If you have a defective lateral, you hire a plumber to come out or an engineer to come out who has expertise and experience with water lines and investigate and determine if your lateral needs to be replaced. The lateral runs between your house and the street, and that particular line is the responsibility of the homeowner, not the water department. So.
But isn't it the responsibility of the city if it was damaged through damage through the city? I mean, is an open hole in the street, I'm not responsible for the street.
Well, we're not here to determine you're right, the street is a public street. How it becomes or how there is a sinkhole and how that arises, it isn't the issue before us. The issue is the city water department went out, performed an inspection, and based on their typical testing procedures, found that the lateral that serves your property is defective.
Okay.
All right, and then it was incumbent on you, upon receiving notification, to not only, if you want to appeal it, but at the same time, find out and confirm whether or not you needed to make any repairs to this lateral that serves your property. So what would appear to be happening is at the present time, and it's noted based on the report and the city solicitor pointed out, it's a combined system that the sewage and water would appear to be running out not into the city sewer line, but into the street underneath it, continuing perhaps to undermine the street, which based on the pictures I just looked at shows that there's still a possible cave-in. So
The city didn't provide.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you just said.
I said, what pictures? The city didn't provide any.
You sent
Only I
in,
provided pictures.
you sent in a picture showing that there appears to be an indentation still in the street.
This is over a year ago. This is repaired at this point.
The street's been repaired?
Yes.
Okay. But that doesn't necessarily mean your lateral's been repaired.
Right.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question?
absolutely.
Excuse me, Mr. Peretti,
Yeah.
have you contacted a lawyer or anyone? Because it sounds like you're saying that it's not you since you didn't cause it, an outside agency caused it. Have you contacted a lawyer or have any type of litigation going on at this point?
No, I was waiting for this appeal to go through. So pretty much I contacted all the parties involved. Larry Longo says it's the contractor's fault. The contractor says it's the cement company. The cement company says it's the city's fault. So everyone's blaming each other here.
All right,
But
so,
it seems like I'm the one stuck with the bill.
well, you're the one who there's been identified a defective condition at your property.
Mhm.
So you need to hire somebody to find out if that defect is in fact the one that's been alleged, and you didn't do that. You need to hire a contractor to come out. If you need to replace the lateral, which is what the city is saying you need to do, then you need to get that done. And then if in fact you have information from your contractor or an independent inspector or some independent party that can shed light on how or why that lateral became defective, other than through use or age or whatever it is, or that the conduct of someone else, a third party, caused that lateral to be defective, you might have a claim. But again, you have to be careful in pursuing that claims. You may need to hire an attorney. You may have a time limit within which to bring that claim, but you may have issues of having to prove that in fact you have a claim that someone caused that damage. Laterals do need to be repaired and replaced, and by the homeowner from time to time. They don't last forever.
But it's also not every day a cement truck falls through the street.
Well, correct. So, but that isn't an issue that we can resolve here today. Our issue before us is whether or not a sewer lateral is defective and needs to be repaired and replaced. And the city has determined that there's a defective lateral and that condition hasn't been remedied. Do you have anything else you wish to present today?
No, but I would also like to question the reinspection that claims was done on 10/3.
Well, you've questioned that, all right?
Is there any like paperwork or any evidence, like photos, a video from any of them, even the original inspection, other than the document provided?
The city has provided whatever evidence it intends to provide, so there's nothing further at this point, sir. You can always appeal any decision that's rendered today. You can always request through the city any further documentation or records they have, and they should be willing to provide that to you. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Athanasiadis?
Just for, I guess, point of clarification, Chairman, and this would help Mr. Puidi as well. The time on the record that was read, that's the time it's inputted in the system. That might not necessarily be the exact time the inspection was done, but an inspection was performed on October 3rd. And then I would just object to the characterization as to what Mr. Puidi alleged Philadelphia Water Department stated when they went out to the property back in August 2021. And in closing, I would just state a properly notice of defect was issued for a defective lateral. As we sit here today, the lateral remains defective, and there's been no evidence presented that the lateral is not defective or the requisite repairs had been made.
Let me just confirm as well that when a plumbing repair is done, to replace a lateral, a plumber has to obtain a permit from the city to do that, because they're connecting into the city water and or sewer lines. So in order, if the work had been done and properly done, a permit would have been required and an inspection performed, and there's no record of that having occurred.
That is correct.
Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chairman, before you poll the board,
Yes.
may I ask Mr. Alexander a very brief question a quick question, I hope, for clarification?
Absolutely.
Mr. Alexander, you testified to how a defect or cave-in can occur on a city street. My question is it possible for a lateral to be defective for a significant period of time and undermine the street, then making it possible for a cave-in to occur once a heavy vehicle rolls over it? Is that confused?
That's correct. over a period of time, it will start undermining every time the facilities or any type of water coming from the home passes through the lateral, where it's either separated, and it would cause like a straw-like effect, pulling the dirt away from the street, which would cause a depression first, following a cave-in.
So it's possible, so it's my understanding, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that it's possible for there to be a defect in the lateral over a period of time that could weaken the street, thus making it easier for a cave-in to occur. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And what does it take for someone to identify, before you make the 311 call, what would the homeowner see to make the 311 call to you to make you come out to test the lateral?
You will either see a depression, like a dip in the street, or you will see a small hole starting to form in the street, or you'll see the street cracking.
Okay, so it's possible then that, okay, I'm sorry, I don't want to ask another question. I think I'll just confuse matters more. I just wanted to make the point that the defect could have been there for some time without any notice until this truck caused the depression. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
Thanks very much.
All right, thank you. Then we will pull the board on this. My vote is city affirmed.
My vote is city affirmed.
I vote city affirmed.
Okay, so Mr. Priudi, the determination of this board is that the violation was properly issued. The appeal is, your appeal is not successful. The city's position is affirmed. If you want to proceed further, you can contact the board how to proceed. That's the end of the matter today. Thank you, sir. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Athanasiadis?
No, that completes my list for the day, Chairman Pincus.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll ask Mr. Wade to find out who the other parties are, and we'll see what needs to be done with respect to the other three. At least,
Excuse me, just real quick, Mr. Chair.
yes,
Is Inspector Alexander is going to be needed for any other cases? Only reason I'm asking that because you can release him.
no, you're
Go on.
fine, because this is the only, these are the
There,
only.
the remaining unidentified numbers, I was just going to address after the hearing, just to let them know when their case was continued to. So there's no other city attorney or witness for any of these cases to proceed, so.
So we don't need the court reporter any longer,
We no
right?
longer need the court reporter
Thank you, Ms. Robb.
or the board itself. I can identify these numbers and make them aware of their continued date as well, so.
Okay, all right. Very good.
Thank you.
Have a
board.
safe trip, all right?
Thank you. Thank you
board.
Care.
all.
Fun in Nashville.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mrs. Bonilla? Mrs. Bonilla? Please identify yourself for the board. What case are you here for?
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, this is Siobhan Johnson. I'm here for the appeal for the tobacco.
Okay, those
Okay.
cases were continued. I
Okay.
was under the impression you received notice. What was the address?
No, 808 North Broad Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19130.
You'll be getting an email later on today. I apologize. An email should have went out. The health department witness was not available today, and they've been rescheduled. You'll get an email
Okay.
later today or early tomorrow. It's most likely going to be early November, okay?
Okay, thank you. I never received the email for this. This came in the mail. I never received the email at all.
Okay, I apologize. Do you actually, you want to give me your email just so we have it, just to get, was it
Sure.
on your appeal or?
No, it just says the address, it does the meeting ID and phone number. It
No,
went
was
straight
your
to-
email on your appeal?
Yeah,
Okay, well, then an email will be sent out. What probably happened was those notices were sent. And
Mhm.
then in the interim, and this applies for everyone that's on the call, notices were sent and then notices were sent out in the mail, but the actual notice to appear email was probably not sent because of the lack of witness. So that, I apologize. You'll get that email very shortly. You'll also probably get another notice in the mail of your new hearing date,
okay,
okay?
thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, I appreciate it.
Okay,
Have a great day.
you too.
All right.
Hello?